Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will continue to rule your life and you will call it fate. That's what Carl Jung said. Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will continue to rule your life and you will call it fate. And that changed a lot for me. That quote has to do with this idea of the shadow self and this life of living in the shadows versus living in the light. And again, I like metaphors, so I picture this kind of path because I'll go back to this idea that life has a path and life has a pace. And life has this path, and on the path there's this light to follow. But on the edges of the path there are these shadows. And sometimes we can live in those shadows. And Jung said, and others have followed, and many cultures believe, many faiths believe, you'll find it in, angels, demons, good, bad, God, the devil, that there's this duality in us, this idea of this shadow self. There's this part of us that wants to do good, that wants nothing but the best for us, that just really wants to live this good, pure life. But then there's this part of us that seems to actively work against that just really seems to not have our best interests at heart. That seems not even to have self-preservation at heart. Seems to go against our natural instinct to stay alive. Just seems to short circuit the whole thing. Seems to desire comfort over change. And in this, I call this the shadow self. Others call this the shadow self. I don't call it that, or I do, but I didn't come up with that. So I've lived a lot of my life in the shadows. I mean, a lot of my life in the shadows. The vast majority of my life in the shadows. There's a friend of mine who says that he was a shell of a man, and that rings true. The facade, the outer. And if you only knew what was happening behind the scenes in the shadows, then you wouldn't listen to a thing I had to say. That's a tough way to live, right? That's a tough way to operate. To always know that if anyone knew what was really happening, they would be disturbed, disgusted, and reject you for who you are, not what you're doing, but who you are. And so there's a way out of this shadow self, which is to live in the light. And there's this tremendous song, 46 and 2 by Tool. If you're not listening to Tool, what are you doing with your life anyway? 46 and 2, which talks of, adds up to 48, which alludes to this collective consciousness. But it talks about this metamorphosis, shedding the skin of this shadow self and becoming kind of fully realized. Now, I don't know what others have to do, but I'll tell you what I had to do is I had to go back to the origin. I had to go back to the original pain, the original trauma, and look at it, and that's what was casting me in the shadows. So it's actually a pretty neat survival skill, one that you can give yourself credit for rather than judging yourself about. is that you found the shadows in which to survive in when things were particularly painful in your life, and that you found a way through rather than judging yourself for having done it. Doesn't help anyway. It happened, and here we are. So this idea of coming out is often going back, examining, looking at, trying to heal as best you can. There's no forgetting, but you can put it into context and realize that it's not who you are, and it's not you, right? Oftentimes when we're hurt, um, as children or younger, we think it's us, and it's not us. It's someone else, and we've taken on that pain, and we've taken on that burden, and made it ours, but it's not ours. It's someone else's, and to be an adult and grow up and say that's not mine, and I won't take it anymore. I'll put it down. It is um, quite rejuvenating, and so that helps stepping out of the shadow. Another thing that helps stepping out of the shadow for me are these two adolescent thoughts that I've had for most of my life. One is, what can I get away with while no one's watching? It's a thought I've had since I can first remember. I remember being very young in a home that we had, so young that I thought that if I couldn't see you, you couldn't see me, right? That age. Um, and I would lay, we had a kitchen table, um, and I would lay on the two chairs next to the wall, and I would take a sugar bowl and I would eat spoonfuls of sugar because I liked the way it made me feel. And I thought that if I couldn't see you, you couldn't see me, so I could get away with it. And then that went on to other behaviors, and that followed me for a long time. What can I get away with when no one's watching? And there's a problem with that way of thinking. There's a problem with that whole theory, is that there's one person that's my phone thought I said Siri, and now I just did. There's one person who's always watching me. I saw everything I've ever done. There's no such thing as getting away with it. I saw it all. And I'm my worst critic. I'm my biggest judge. At the end of the day, I'm the one who examines me the harshest. I never got away with anything, not one thing. And I thought I was so good at manipulation and lying. I thought I was getting away with it all. I got away with nothing. I saw it all. I was there for all of it. I saw the worst of it. And I judged me the harshest. When when I went through some changes in life and came to the house I'm in now, it's a ranch house, and it kind of has this circular layout. And so the master bedroom opens up into a bathroom, which kind of opens up into a kitchen. There's a medicine cabinet in the bathroom with a mirror on it, as most do. And for the first, 11 months I lived here, I would leave that medicine cabinet open because I didn't want to walk by and catch a glimpse of myself. I couldn't bear to see me after what I had done and what had happened. So I saw it all. There's no such thing as getting away with it. The other adolescent idea is I ought to be rewarded for doing the right thing. And to me, that again, this reinforces this shadow self, this other living. Right living is its own reward. If I go to work 5 days a week, I don't get a reward, right? The work, the paycheck, I'm supposed to go to work. If I treat people well, I don't get a reward. I'm supposed to treat people well. So this idea of I ought to be rewarded for doing the right thing is to me to in my it was an adolescent viewpoint. And the reason why it's so important is because the way I reward myself is really dangerous. I reward myself in really dangerous ways. I reward myself in ways that feel really good and are really bad for me. Comfort now, pain later, and ultimately, which led me to what happened, is they devastate other people, and that's tough to live with. And so the shadow self is this idea that I can walk amongst this world and be amongst these people and put out this persona and also live this ulterior life. And I can do whatever I want. But I have to lay my head down on the pillow at night. And I lived that life for so long. I was a shell of a person, and I was a facade, and it almost killed me. And once I saw that I didn't have to do that, and I could be a complete person, and once I was able to realize that I could live a life where this skin actually fit and I could be whole, I wouldn't dare go back. I can't believe I did it for so long. I can't believe I waited this long to shed as much as I could. I mean, of course, there's still some there. I wouldn't be naive enough to think I've been able to shed it all. I'm not enlightened by any means, but my goodness, what a different way to live in the light, honest, transparent, nothing to hide, no lies. It's try it, try it out, try it, give it a shot. If it doesn't work for you, go back to living in the shadows. Go back to lying. It's going to be available. It's not going anywhere. But try it. See if it doesn't work better. See if it's not easier. It takes so much energy to do all this shadow work. So much. So I hope that helps.